In this video, we shall discuss about how we enable the IRQ and the FIQ exceptions, and also what all procedures need to be done whenever IRQ and the FIQ exceptions are raised. So first we shall look into the procedures whenever IRQ and the FIQ exceptions are enabled. Of course, don't get confused with this word exceptions. Exception, priority, interrupt. Interrupt is a special kind of exceptions also. So IRQ and the FIQ interrupt, you can also call it as IRQ and the FIQ exceptions. So whenever IRQ or FIQ exceptions or interrupt is being raised, the processor changes to specific interrupt request mode. Okay, if it IRQ is raised, then IRQ mode, or if FIQ is being raised, it will go to the FIQ mode. Now second step, this is important. So whatever the previous mode CPS are, for example, if IRQ request is being made, then what happens is that SPSR underscore maybe IRQ the CPSR content, the CPSR content of the present mode, that will be saved in the CPSR of the IRQ, because that is the requested mode you have it. Now similarly you have LR underscore IRQ. Okay, so LR underscore IRQ, that too will have it CPSR, PC content. So PC content will be stored in LR underscore IRQ. That is what you have. These are the two and the second and third step. So what do you have? So interrupts are disabled. So whenever interrupts are disabled, either the IRQ or both the IRQ and the FIQ exceptions are disabled. So interrupts are disabled in a sense that you have to because basically whenever IRQ exception is being raised, you don't want again another IRQ request. That's why whenever IRQ exception is being raised, what you have to understand is that you disable the IRQ. Okay, that is interrupt request. How do you disable IRQ? By enabling IBIT in CPSR. That is what you have to understand, doing IBIT in CPSR. But when you want to disable FIQ, you have to understand both, you have to do that one. But in this case actually you are not enabling the F bit in the case of IRQ. That is one thing, because you can't, in the interrupt request mode, you can't disable the FIQ request. Still FIQ request will be there whenever in the IRQ. But in the case of in the case of FIQ mode, whenever actually FIQ mode comes here, when you want to disable FIQ, that is fast interrupt request, what you do is that you enable both okay. So the I bit as well as the F bit, that is what you do. You enable both I bit and the F bit. Okay, as I was saying, enable both I bit and F bit in CPSR. Okay. So whenever FIQ exception is being raised, you enable both I bit and the F bit. But in the case of FIQ exception, you enable only I bit, because you don't want to disable the you don't want to disable the FIQ request. That has to be there. So that, because fast interrupt request is basically the high priority request, so you can't disable the fast high priority request. Even though low priority request is being serviced, the high priority request has to be answered. So you can't disable the fast interrupt request whenever IRQ is being serviced. But when you are in the FIQ mode, then definitely you have an option to disable both IRQ request as well as FIQ request by enabling I bit and the F bit, because you don't want any other high priority. Only one high priority we can service. Task can do only one, processor can do only one task. We can't do multiple tasks at a time. Okay, multiple requests it will not increase. Of course nested will be there, but thing is that at a time only one priority request is getting service. When high priority is getting service, you don't have the option to service the low priority request. So you definitely finish that fast interrupt request. That is why, and also you finish, you don't actually enable another fast interrupt request. That is also not there. Only one you finish it off. That's why I bit and the F bit both are enabled, which means that IRQ and the FIQ request both are disabled. Okay, that's what you do it here. Now what do you do it in the processor? Branches to specific entry in the vector table. Of course you have the vector address. So maybe 0x, if okay, let's some vector address for the IRQ and some vector address for the FIQ. Okay, so first one, this actually changes the specific interrupt request mode, then it will actually CPSR will save to the SPSR, then LR, then IRQ of the both FAQ exceptions are disabled, then it branches to specific entry in the vector table. It goes to the vector table, and then the vector table specific vector address is loaded. From that address it branches to specific. Okay, sorry for the interruption. Now yeah, as I was saying, the processor branches to specific entry in the vector table. From that one it branches to the respective handler, okay, maybe IRQ handler or the FIQ handler. So this is what happens whenever FIQ and the FIQ exception is being raised. So respective these are the procedures which happen. Okay, so let me actually go for the, and maybe with an example I will discuss about what all happens whenever IRQ and the FIQ exceptions are raised. If with an example if I explain, it will be very easy to understand. Now, okay, this is what happens here. This is what vector table on the processor modes which we already discussed. So the vector table offset address for the IRQ exception is 0x18 and 0x1c for the FIQ exception. This is for the IRQ exception. Now, just actually look into this one. So whenever actually NZCVQ, okay, this is what the processor state you have it. So this you will have it in the CPSR. Okay, this you will have it in the CPSR, the current one. The mode is user mode. You can just observe this one, I and the F both are cleared. So I and F both are cleared means there is no request that is raised, either IRQ or the FIQ request. Now just imagine, see, whenever IRQ request is raised here, whenever IRQ request is raised here, you can just look at the difference between these two things. What happens here? So the mode gets changed here. That is what the first step that you have. The processor changes to specific interrupt request mode, which reflects the interrupt being raised. What is the interrupt that is being raised here? IRQ interrupt is being raised. That's why this one CPSR. Okay, just don't get confused actually. This whatever that has been written here, okay, if you just look into this one, I bit is capital here. So why I bit is capital, which means that the I bit is enabled. So I bit is enabled, which means that you are disabling the, what are you doing? Let me write that one. You are disabling the request. Okay, you are disabling the IRQ. You are disabling the IRQ. That is what you do it here. So, and one thing what you have to understand. So here you just CPSR content. So this CPSR content will not be moved. Of course, it is written first here. But one thing what you have to understand, even though here also it is written first, but before actually doing this one, these two things are getting executed before actually it changes to specific interrupt request mode. Of course, when I say that the processor changes to specific interrupt request mode, definitely it will change to that one. But what happens here is that this CPSR content, what is CPSR content? That will be saved in SPSR underscore IRQ. If this content will be put up in the SPSR underscore IRQ. If I have to write like this way, what happens? SPSR underscore IRQ, that will be equal to not this CPSR, that be careful in the mind, this value. So this value will be put up in SPSR underscore IRQ. Okay, now because IRQ, why it is IRQ? Because it signifies it is IRQ mode. Now what happens to the R14 underscore IRQ? You have to store the PC, isn't it? The PC of wherever the normal execution of the program that was happening, so that will be there. Now the new value that is loaded, PC is equal to 0x18. Why this 0x18? 0x18 indicates the IRQ exception. It goes to this vector table, this value is loaded. From this one, anyhow we already discussed, there will be some branching instruction. If you have to say some load instruction, from here it will go to the IRQ handler. IRQ software handler, that is why it is written here, IRQ handler. Okay, when PC is loaded, just observe, whenever actually this PC loaded, this also, okay, this somewhere comes here in this step. Okay, now let me write this one. Okay, so let me write this step, that would be more clear. So this is first step. Okay. Yeah, so this will be first step. Okay, so second step will be what? R14, that R14 underscore PC. Sorry, in this case, sorry, in this IRQ mode, that will be having PC. Okay. So third case, what you will be having is, third case you will have that NZ whatever CPSR will be updated with this value. Okay, CPSR will be updated with this value. So CPSR will be updated with this value. The fourth case, what happens is this one. Finally, PC will be 0x18. Okay, this is what happens. Now just don't get confused in this one. Maybe whatever this is, immediately it will not change. Okay, specific interrupt request mode, though I have written first here, it doesn't mean that actually this will be executed first. You can just make a modification. This you can just write 1, this you can just write 2, maybe this you can just write 3. Okay, of course here in this step they are disabled. Okay, that how it is disabled, that I will explain in the next slide. Okay, so this is fourth step. The fourth step comes here. The fifth step is same. Okay, that is what happens here. You can just look into this one, 1, 2, 3. Fourth PC, that is fifth step. Fourth step you have disabling the flags there, that I will explain in the next slide. Okay, so here whenever IRQ exception is being raised, you have I bit that is enabled, which requires you are disabling the IRQ. That is what is done. Now you have this SPS underscore IRQ is equal to CPSR, R14 underscore IRQ is equal to PC, PC is equal to 0x18. As I said earlier, if you go to the vector address, from that one it will have the loading instruction. There you go, the IRQ software handler, whatever service it has to be done with respect to that interrupt that is raised, it will be done. Then after that one, it will return to the user mode. It will return to this user mode. That is what you have it here. That will return to the user mode. Okay, that normal execution again continues. How it will return back? Whenever it wants to return, I have already explained that one. What will be done actually? This again, whatever that SPS underscore IRQ will be there. This it was containing this user mode. So that will be copied back to CPSR. This we have discussed in exception mode, isn't it? That will be copied to CPSR, and this R14 underscore IRQ will be copied to the PC. So it comes to know from where it wants to start again the normal execution. Okay, so that is what happens. Now you can just look into this one. Whenever FIQ exception is being raised, so in this case the CPSR is in the user mode here. So when FIQ exception is being raised, now here you can just look into this one. As I said earlier, whenever FIQ exception is being raised, there are two things that you have to note down. The first thing that happens here is the I bit is disabled as well as the F bit is, okay, I bit is disabled, don't get confused here. Your basically I bit is set to 1, F bit is set to 1. By enabling I bit and the F bit in the CPSR, basically what you are doing, you are disabling IRQ as well as FIQ. You are disabling IRQ and the FIQ. These two requests, both the interrupt request as well as the fast interrupt request. This is for the low priority, this is for the high priority. Both are disabled. How do you disable these two requests? By enabling I and the F bit in the CPSR. That's what you can just look into this one. In the case of IRQ interrupt or IRQ exception, whenever it is raised, only I bit is enabled. Whereas in this case, both I and F are enabled. You can just look into this one. Here it is both are small, only I is capital. Here both are small, both are capital. So this is changes to FIQ mode. So here also same thing. SPSR underscore FIQ is equal to CPSR. Here it is the interrupt request mode. It is the saved program status register of the FIQ mode. Okay. So that CPSR content, whatever this is there, that will be stored in CPSR underscore FIQ. Then PC, this PC, whatever address is there, PC. Okay. This PC program counter address, that will be stored in the R14 underscore FIQ. Then PC will be changed to 0x1c. Why it is getting changed to 0x1c? As you can just note down here, for the FIQ exception, it is 0x1c. Okay. After that one, definitely, okay, this is same thing. You can just make a note of it. This will come into this picture only. Okay. The same thing has been written here. If immediately it gets changed, means you are not saving here, but this you can just put up in the third step here. Again, the software inlet, this is FIQ software inlet. So FIQ is being serviced, then it returns again normal to the user mode. So returns the user mode and continues the normal execution of the program. So this is the way that whenever IRQ and the FAQ exception is being raised, what all procedures are being done. And okay, we shall continue with the next slide. How you enable disable the FIQ and the IRQ exceptions. As you can just look into this one, how you enable interrupt, because whenever actually this comes here, say you have SPSR underscore IRQ and the R40 underscore IRQ CPSR, you change it. So whenever you do all these things, you have to disable that one, isn't it? You have to disable the IRQ, this IRQ as well as the FIQ exceptions you have to disable. How you enable that one? Basically, whenever you want to enable interrupt or you want to disable interrupt, so you have this one. Let me explain here. See, CPSR value, you have the IRQ. Okay, usually starting actually what you have. See, just let me explain. Before the execution, now what you have here in this case. Okay, so in this case, what happens is, see, I want to enable interrupt. See, usually actually before the execution, the I is set here. Why I is set here? See, one thing what you have to understand, whenever I bit is set to 1, which means that you have disabled. What you have disabled? IRQ request. Okay, and that interrupt request you have disabled. So how do you enable that one? Okay, this is the way that you enable here. So enabling IRQ, this is MRS instruction, program status register instruction. We have discussed this one, isn't it? So MRS, what it does, it moves the status register content, that is CPSR, into the register. In this case actually the CPSR, it is moved to the register R1. So what will be the CPSR content? This is NZCVQ IFT. Okay, in this case actually IFT underscore SVC. So this will be moved to the R1 register. Now this is logical bit clear, BIC R1 comma R1 and hash 0x80. Basically this what happens, R1 is ANDed with negation of 0x80. Basically whenever this happens, so what you are doing here, whenever negation of 0x80 means this one last one that you have, this changes to 0, then you have 111, then last you have all ones. When this is ANDed with R1 content, now what is going to be changed? This is 0th bit, this is 7th bit, and 7th bit is going to be masked here. Basically logical bit clear, you do that one to mask the respective bits. So in this case actually which bit is going to be masked here? This is 7 bit is going to mask. So what you have in the 7th bit? The 7th bit that you have is basically the I bit in the CPSR. That is a control field of the CPSR. The I bit is there. Now what happens? This is I bit is set to 1. When you AND whatever the content that is there in R1, when it is ANDed with this value, what will be I, 7th bit, that will change to now 0. When I changes to 0, from capital it becomes small. So now when we are clearing this I bit in the CPSR. When you clear the I bit in the CPSR, basically what you are doing here, when you are clearing the I bit in the CPSR, which means that you have enabled the interrupt request. That is what we see here. You have enabled the interrupt request. So you enable the interrupt request. By enabling the interrupt request, you are allowing the request to be raised through IRQ pin. So that's what happens here. You can just look into this one. Logical bit clear. Now after that one, R1 again you move to the CPSR underscore C. Don't get confused here. This is C extension, means control field. You have flag field in the CPSR. You have control field in the CPSR. Basically control field means that mode bits 5 bit along with the FIQ bit and the, that is F bit and the I bit. Those all 7 bits that you have, that we call it as control field. Now R1 is copied to the CPSR underscore C. Now what is R1 copied here? That is basically that where I is made 0. Rest all remains same thing only. Rest all remains same thing. That's what you can just observe here. From this to this, post execution of these instructions, what is changed here from capital I to small I, which means that you have enabled the interrupt request by clearing the I bit of the CPSR. That you have to understand. Okay. So similarly for the FIQ exception, what should be the value? Same thing only. So enable FIQ. This you can just observe here. You are moving from register to status register. This is MRS instruction from CPSR, that is current program status register to R1 register. Here it is from R1 register to CPSR underscore C, that is the extension is control field. That's why you can see a register to status register, we are from status register to normal general purpose register. Okay, here similarly you have IFT underscore SVC. In order to enable the FIQ, what is being done? MRS R1 comma CPSR, CPSR is copied to R1, logical bit clear, but what this is important, you are doing with hash 0x40. Why are you doing with hash 0x40? Because 0x40 means when you add this one, basically which bit you are clearing here. This is basically 1 0 1 1 1 1 1 1. So this R1 when it is ANDed with this one, this is 6th bit, and what you have in the 6th bit, that is F here. So this 6th bit what you have F means now F you are trying to clear. So same way this is actually you are doing with the 80, you are doing with the 40. When you do this one, again you copy that from R1 register to CPSR underscore C. When you do this one, finally F bit is cleared here. When you clear the F bit means you have enabled the fast interrupt request. So that's how we enable the fast interrupt request. Now you want to disable an interrupt here. This is what is done when you want to disable an interrupt. So whenever you want to disable an interrupt, what is being done? See, this is NZCVQIFT underscore SVC. So in supervisor mode, I want to disable the IRQ. Now what is being done? Same step. Okay, here you move from CPSR to the R1, register R1. Now instead of logical bit clear, what you do? OR operation. The OR operation, why do you do the OR operation? So OR operation means you want to set it, you want to enable certain thing, then you do the OR operation. You want to mask certain bit, then you do the, of course, ANDing can also be done. Logical bit clear can also be done. Logical bit clear is basically an negation, ANDing only that you are doing with the negation of any of the value that is kept here. Okay, that is in the last field. Now see OR operation, when you do this one, R1 ANDed with R1 comma hash 0x80. Now register R1, what is R1 containing? R1 is containing CPSR. Now CPSR contain is ANDed with, that is hash of 0x80. When it is ANDed with hash of 0x80, you have 1,000,000. Next you have 4 zeros. Okay, so 1,000,000 and the 4 zeros. When this R1 is ANDed with hash 0x80, basically what is this final bit that you are doing here? This 7th bit. What is 7th bit here? 7th bit is I bit. So I bit now you are setting. When you set the I bit to 1, what you are disabling? You are disabling IRQ, that is IRQ request. Interrupt request is disabled. That is what you do it here. That's why you disable an interrupt by writing these set of instructions. The most important instruction is ORR. Okay, so finally this is just to copy MRS and the MSR, copy, because directly you can't write into the CPSR in the user, okay, in the supervisor mode. Okay, directly you can't write into the CPSR. Now what you have to do, you just copy the CPSR into the R1, then again you reverse copy from register to the status register. Okay, so from status register to general purpose register, from registers to general purpose register to status register. Okay, and that is special purpose register that you have. So from R1, whatever that you got it here, by now you have I is made 1 here, that is copied to the CPSR underscore C. Here also it's an extension, that is control field. Now CPSR underscore C comma R1. Now what happens in this case, you can just observe here, I is small here, I is capital here. So here when I becomes capital, which means that I bit is set to 1 here. Okay, so similarly for the FIQ exception, for FIQ interrupt, this is basically what you have. Similarly here, you disable the FIQ, then MRS R1 comma CPSR, MRS R1 comma CPSR, same thing, CPSR is copied to R1, ORR R1 comma hash 0x40. Here what you do 0x80, but you are doing 0x40. Why you are ORing 0x40? Because this is 1, this is 0 1 0 0, this is 0 0 0 0. This is 4 basically, isn't it? So which bit is this one? 6th bit. What do you have 6th bit? That is F bit. So F bit is now set to 1. Whenever F bit is set to 1, basically what happens here? You are disabling the FIQ request. That is fast interrupt request is disabled. When you disable the fast interrupt request, now what happens here is that this F small f now gets changed to capital F, means F bit is set to 1. When F bit is set to 1, you are disabling the fast interrupt request. So that is what you are disabling an interrupt by writing these set of instructions. You are enabling an interrupt by writing these set of instructions. Okay, if I want to disable, can anyone tell me if I want to disable both fast interrupt request as well as the that is want to disable both FIQ and the IRQ. So what is that I have to do it here? Well, instead of actually whenever I want to disable, here you are enabling only IRQ interrupt. You are enabling IRQ interrupt, enabling FIQ interrupt, disabling IRQ and disabling the FIQ. If I want to enable IRQ and FIQ both, then what should be written? BIQ. This should be changed to, what should it be changed? It should be changed to 0xC0, isn't it? C because it is 1 1. So 1 1, that is 7th and 6th fit. Similarly, here what should be written if I want to disable both the IRQ and the FIQ, that is 0xC0, but here it should do the, you should do the BIC operation, here you should do the OR operation. So this will actually disable both the FIQ and the interrupt, that is IRQ. Both FIQ and the IRQ both are disabled, because what happens when you OR 0xC0, basically here you are enabling both I bit as well as the F bit in the CPSR. Here you are disabling both I bit and the, you are clearing this one. Instead of saying disabling, you are clearing I bit and the F bit here. Here you are setting I bit and the F bit. When you set the I bit and the F bit to 1 here, basically what you are doing is that you are disabling IRQ and the FIQ exception, or you can say IRQ and the FIQ interrupt. Okay, so that is what you do it here. That is how we enabling and disabling IRQ and the FIQ exceptions. Okay, so hope everyone got this one, enabling and disabling the FIQ and the IRQ exceptions. Fine. This is all about enabling and disabling the FIQ and the IRQ exceptions, as well as how you, what happens, what is the procedure that gets done whenever IRQ or the FIQ exception is being raised. So one thing what you have to understand, whenever some IRQ exception is being raised, see, usually actually you disabling the IRQ. So that's what I said here. Whenever actually PC value is being set to 0x18, you basically have to disable that one. So after your PC is equal to 0x18 is set, you have to disable the flags also. So you disable the IRQ request by doing this way. Okay, so when you return from the handler, not only these two things, that is CPSR, that is from the SPSR, that is copied to the CPSR, and then from the R14 it is copied to the PC. Here in this case CPSR is copied to the SPSR before entering the handler. After returning from the handler, CPSR, some SPSR it is copied to the CPSR, as well as from R14 is copied to the PC. Along with that one, you are going to enable the interrupt. So that enabling of the interrupt is done like this way. Okay, those steps, what happens, like we have already discussed that one. Whenever you enter the exception, you can just refer this one. For this slide, you can just refer my previous video that you have entering an exception and leaving an exception. So entering an exception and the leaving an exception, whatever that I have discussed here. You see, with respect to particular FIQ and the IRQ exceptions I have discussed here, but in general step I have discussed in entering exception and the leaving exception. Like 5 steps you have for entering exception and the 3 steps what you have for the leaving exception. In there you are going to disable the IRQ whenever you enter the IRQ exception, and when you return from the IRQ handler, you are going to enable the IRQ again. So that's what you do. How you do enabling and disabling, this is the way that you do it. Okay, so you disable the interrupt when you enter the IRQ handler. When IRQ exception is being raised, you disable the interrupt. This is the way that you disable the IRQ. And when you want to return from the IRQ handler, you want to enable it again because you want to receive further requests. So this is the way that you enable the interrupt when you return from the IRQ handler. Okay. Hope all of you understood the importance of writing this program to enable and disabling the FIQ and the IRQ exception. Fine. Thank you.